Nobody predicted this exact finals matchup. The Thunder being here isn't a shock. They've been solid all season, and most people expected them to make a deep run. But the Pacers? That's a different story. Coming into the year, nobody had them circled as a finals team. Most eyes were on the Celtics, Cavaliers, and of course the Thunder. Indiana wasn't part of that main conversation, but they proved everyone wrong, winning tough series and playing better each round. This run from Indiana isn't some lucky streak. They've earned their spot. Game after game, they played with speed, confidence, and smart decision making. The finals may look lopsided on paper, but this isn't just some underdog story. It's two teams who took very different paths, but ended up in the same place. And now the big question is, can the Pacers keep this going against one of the toughest defenses in the league? Let's get into that next. The Thunder's defense has been their biggest weapon all season. They don't just defend well, they make it hard for teams to run their usual plays. Every guy on the floor can switch, stay in front of their man, and contest shots without needing extra help. That's rare in today's NBA, and it's a big problem for Indiana, especially because they've relied so much on Tyrese Haliburton creating openings in the half court. Against other teams, Haliburton found mismatches and used screens to get easy looks. But with OKC, there's no clear weak link to attack. Everyone switches, everyone stays locked in, and when you add someone like Alex Caruso, who doesn't even need a screen to stay attached, it gets even tougher. The Pacers are walking into a defensive wall, one they haven't seen yet in these playoffs. Let's talk about how this affects Haliburton's usual game plan next. Tyrese Haliburton has been the engine of Indiana's offense, especially in pick-and-roll plays. He's made a habit of reading defenses, using screens, and picking apart teams that give him just a little space. Against teams like the Knicks and Timberwolves, he could find mismatches and force defenders into bad spots. But against the Thunder, that window closes fast. Their defenders switch everything, and nobody on that roster is an easy target. Even setting screens doesn't guarantee anything. A guy like Caruso is nearly impossible to shake, and OKC's bigs don't panic when dragged out to the perimeter. The Pacers might have to rethink how often they go to the pick and roll because OKC isn't giving them the usual cracks to slip through. Now the question becomes, can Indiana create scoring chances in other ways? That leads us to the next challenge. What happens when the big men get involved? One area that could swing the series is the battle between the bigs. OKC has been able to control the paint in earlier rounds, mostly because teams like Minnesota didn't have shooting threats at the center spot. That allowed guys like Hartenstein and Holmgren to sit deep and protect the rim without much risk. But now they're facing Miles Turner, who can stretch the floor and hit threes with a quick release. That's gonna force OKC's bigs to step out, which could open up space inside. If Turner can pull defenders away from the basket, Indiana's guards will have more room to drive and cut. And unlike in the Nuggets series, where OKC had trouble chasing Jokic around the perimeter, Turner won't give them a break either. His ability to pop out after screens and hit jumpers might be the one thing that breaks OKC's strong interior setup, but spacing alone won't be enough. Let's look at how Indiana can keep the Thunder moving on defense through post-ups and floor balance. Indiana's spacing could make this series tricky for OKC. In past matchups, the Thunder relied on help defense to clog the paint and shut down drives. But against a team like the Pacers, that help can come at a cost. Almost every Pacer on the floor can shoot, which means the Thunder have to be extra careful about when and where they rotate. One wrong step and it's an open three. That pressure forces defenders to stay honest, limiting how aggressive they can be with their help. Pascal Siakam is the wild card here. He's strong enough to post up against smaller defenders and quick enough to go around the slower ones. Even with OKC's switch-heavy style, there will be moments where Siakam gets a look he likes. The key will be whether Indiana can find those mismatches and attack them fast before OKC has time to adjust. But even if they do, the Pacers still need to run. That brings us to one of their biggest strengths, transition offense. If there's one place where the Pacers can really hurt OKC, it's in transition. Indiana pushes the pace better than anyone in the league. When they get a stop or force a turnover, they don't wait, they run. And in those moments, even the best defenses can fall apart. The Thunder have had a few rough stretches this postseason when they didn't get back fast enough, and Indiana will be looking to take full advantage of that. But getting out on the break won't be easy. The Thunder take care of the ball better than almost any team in the NBA, so do the Pacers. That means both sides will need to fight for those fast break chances, and every turnover is going to matter. With two teams that rarely give the ball away, whoever can create extra possessions might have the edge. But when things slow down, the game shifts again, straight into the hands of OKC's best weapon, isolation scoring. When the game slows down, OKC has a clear edge. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. No one in the league has been better this year at scoring one-on-one. He doesn't need a screen, a set play, or much space. He just takes his defender and gets to his spot. And that's a major issue for the Pacers, who've been the worst team in the playoffs at guarding isolation plays. Teams have been scoring at will against them in these situations, and now they're up against the best in the business. Indiana simply doesn't have a true answer for SGA. Guys like McConnell and Nembhard work hard, but they're either too small or a step too slow to stop him. And once SGA gets rolling, OKC's other scorers, like Jalen Williams and Lou Dort, start getting open looks too. The defense has to collapse, and that opens the floor. The Pacers can't afford to play catch-up all series. Still, there's one more thing that could make it even tougher for them, and it has nothing to do with talent. It's about how physical OKC is allowed to play. One thing that could really swing this series is how physical the Thunder are allowed to be, especially off the ball. OKC is known for getting up in players' faces, bumping cutters, and making it uncomfortable for stars to move freely. Lou Dort, in particular, is always in the middle of that. He plays tough, grabs, bumps, whatever it takes to slow a scorer down. And if the refs let that go, it could seriously mess with Tyrese Halliburton's rhythm. We've seen it before. In earlier rounds, teams tried to stop Halliburton by denying him the ball and getting physical when he didn't have it. It worked at times. If OKC takes the same approach and the whistle stays quiet, Halliburton might spend more time fighting for space than actually running the offense. That kind of pressure wears a player down, and in a long series, it could be the difference. With all that said, OKC looks like the stronger team, but Indiana isn't going down without a fight.